આજે ધન્યવાદ, પ્રણામ. બધા જ છોકરાઓ અહીંયા આવી ગયા છે. જસ્ટ બેકગ્રાઉન્ડ આપી દો. આ 9 થી 10 છોકરાઓ છેલ્લા 10 વર્ષથી સન્ડેના 9:30 થી 10:30 ક્લાસમાં બેસે છે.
થોડુંક હાઈ વોલ્યુમ.
ઓકે, સન્ડેના ક્લાસમાં બધા જ બેસે છે 9:30 થી 10:30 ના ક્લાસમાં. સંભળાય છે હવે? એટલે હા, જે આ 9 થી 10 છોકરા બધા જ આવી ગયા છે. અલગ અલગ સ્ટેટ થી બેસે છે. ઇલિનોય છે, ટેક્સાસ છે, મિશિગન છે, ન્યૂજર્સી છે. અલગ અલગ સ્ટેટમાંથી બધા 10 છોકરાઓ 10 વર્ષથી બેસે છે. અને ગીતાજીના 4થા અધ્યાયમાં પણ આ લોકોએ ડિબેટમાં ભાગ લીધો હતો. અને હા, અને અત્યારે અમે લોકોએ વિચાર કર્યો, 4થા અધ્યાયમાં પાર્ટ લીધા પછી વિચાર કર્યો કે આપણે શરૂઆતથી જ લઈએ. એટલે ગીતાજીનો પહેલો અધ્યાય વિષાદ યોગ, અર્જુન વિષાદ યોગ, એ અમે બધાએ સાથે મળીને વાંચ્યો. અને દરેક છોકરાઓ એક શ્લોક લીધો. એટલે 9 છોકરાઓ છે એવી રીતે પાર્ટિસિપેટ કરીને સંપૂર્ણ કર્યો. અને અર્જુન વિષાદ યોગમાં જે બી આ લોકોને ક્વેશ્ચન્સ આવ્યા ગીતાજીના, જે નવી દ્રષ્ટિથી એ લોકોએ જોયું કે અર્જુને કૃષ્ણ ભગવાનને આવી રીતે કેમ સંબોધ્યું, અને એવા 7 નામ પણ એ લોકોએ કાઢ્યા. તો એ આખો એક દ્રષ્ટિકોણ આવ્યો છે. અને અમે હવે સેકન્ડ અધ્યાય પર જતા પહેલા, અને ઇવન પહેલા અધ્યાયનું પણ થોડુંક બેકગ્રાઉન્ડ આપીને, સેકન્ડ અધ્યાય સાંખ્ય યોગ, એ થોડુંક જરાક ડિફિકલ્ટ બી છે, પણ એટ ધ સેમ ટાઈમ ઇન્ટરેસ્ટિંગ પણ થશે. તો એનું જરાક ભૂમિકા અને પછી આ લોકો બધાના ક્વેશ્ચન્સ છે, એ રીતે આપણે શરૂઆત કરીએ.
પહેલા શું કરું?
થોડુંક બેકગ્રાઉન્ડ આપી દો અને પછી આપણે ક્વેશ્ચન આન્સર્સ લઈ લઈએ. એ લોકોના કંઈક 9 થી 12 થી 13 ક્વેશ્ચન આન્સર્સ છે. એક 10 મિનિટની ભૂમિકા લઈ લઈશું તો બી ચાલશે. અને પછી એ લોકોના ક્વેશ્ચન આન્સર્સમાં જ ખાસા એવા આપણને સારું એવું આપણું વિશ્લેષણ થશે. ક્વેશ્ચન્સ બી સરસ છે. મળી ગયા ને ક્વેશ્ચન્સ?
હા, મળી ગયા.
હા હા, અને પછી એક બાય એક પૂછી લઈશું તો બી ચાલશે.
So before starting, I must congratulate all the young boys and girls. Are they both or simply boys?
ના, બંને છે, બંને છે.
That they have taken this Gita for study so seriously. Now, the place of Gita is unique in our religion. Not because it was preached by Krishna at the battlefield when Arjuna was in dilemma to follow the religion or not to follow the duty. But first of all, as Krishna himself says, that imam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam vivasvan manave pra manuriksha bravit. So this has been the knowledge, age-old knowledge, and I am recounting it, recollecting it. So, though it is not said in our granthas, but in Ramanuja Sampradaya it is said that there are 32 Vidyas in Upanishads. And all those 32 Vidyas are compiled in Gita. In the, not the same context, but the context of rather human context. So, therefore, it is said that Sarvopanishado Gavo Dogdha Gopalanandana Partha Vasa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gita Amritam Brad. So it is a gist of all the 32 Vidyas preached in the Upanishad. And that's the greatest significance of the Gita. Many people consider it because it was taught, it was preached at the time of battlefield and when Arjuna was in dilemma. That is human situation and that is human significance. And we may also consider Gita when we are in some dynamic situation. But that is superficial, according to me. The prime importance, significance of the Gita is that it compiles the whole Upanishadic knowledge with the then contemporary context. And that's the greatest significance of Gita. And that's why Gita is also considered to be an Upanishad. Though it is not in the language of the Upanishad, the language is different. There are two types of languages, Vedic language and the Laukik Bhasha. So Gita is in the Laukik Bhasha, not the Vedic language. So what? Content is same. First point. Second point, what is the basic teachings of Gita? And every commentator or the reader of the Gita may like to take it in the context and in the purpose, fulfilling purpose of his own choice. So I would say there is a portrait of the Sayaji Rao in Baroda Museum. So you can see from anywhere, any direction, the Sayaji Rao looks at you only. The same is true with the Gita also. You look from any angle, and Gita will. I have some Buddha face also here. Let me show you. That will make more point clarify. Yeah. Please enlarge the screen. No, no. नहीं हो रहा
दिख रहा है, लेकिन हमारे यहाँ
नहीं, वाकई यहाँ है।
वो लोग को यही दिखेगा, पूरा दिखे, ये दिखे पूरा
नहीं। यहाँ मुझको बड़ा स्क्रीन कर दो ना, तो मुझको ठीक रहेगा।
દેખાય છે?
या स्क्रीन को छोटो करके प्रतीक के या स्क्रीन को बड़ो करो।
તમે જેજેના નામની સામે પિન કરો, કમ ટુ જેજે સ્ક્રીન અને પિન ઇટ અપ. પિન નો ઓપ્શન આવશે. જેજેનું નામ લખ્યું છે ને એ વિડીયોની પર.
Now look at this face of Buddha. See it from anywhere. Buddha appears looking towards you only. This way. Such is the mood of Gita. You look it from any angle, and Gita will sound to you as if Gita is talking with you. That's a unique character of the Gita that we must first of all understand. Now, beside this, there is a metaphor also in the Gita, an Upanishadic metaphor, where it is said, Dva Suparna Sayuja Sakhayau Samanam Vriksham Parishashva Jate Tayoreka pippalam swadu atti anashnan anyo abhichakashiti. Two birds are sitting on the same branch of the tree. One bird eating the fruits that grows over that branch. Another is simply watching how it eats, why it eats, or why not it eats. So the Sakshi Paramatma and Karta Jeev. Now this is a metaphor reached in Upanishad. Here in Gita, particularly, Gita goes little deeper into the meaning of this. And how so? Sakshi means witness. So we have two sorts of consciousness. One active consciousness and one witness consciousness. In modern psychology, you may consider this as id and ego in Freudian psychology. Id is an active consciousness, active mind. And ego is a passive consciousness. It simply manages the different forces of the superego and the id, the conflict that arises between superego and id. This is so simple. When we want to act, there are some inhibitions of superego. We can do this, we cannot do that, like, and so forth. Id is a very powerful, strong, energetic force within us, which compels us to do something. So there requires someone to balance the two forces. And the Sakshi Chetana, the witness consciousness, balances it. Now, this was the meaning of the metaphor, and this can be the modern interpretation, Freudian interpretation of those old metaphor. But as far as the Gita is concerned, Gita goes little deeper into it. And Gita wants to proclaim that there is a hidden witness in every active consciousness. And there is a hidden active consciousness in every witness consciousness. In Pushtimargi terminology, Mahaprabhu Vallabhacharya would translate Guda Stri Bhav and Guda Pumbhav. That's all right in a different context, but tentatively it means same. Very superficial meaning wise, there is a hidden female in every male, and there is a hidden male in every female. Not in the question matter of the gender, but in the matter or in the context and matter of the, like every student has a hidden teacher and every teacher has a hidden student in it or her. That's how it goes. So Gita goes little bit deeper into this sense of the division of the active, and I would not say passive, but the witness. Because passive would have been the normal interpretation. But in every passive witness, there is a hidden activity. And in every activity, there is a hidden passivity also. That we can see from our sense organ and motor organ also. When you are using your sense organ like eye, ear, etc., so and so forth, some activity is going on. And when you are doing something, for instance, taking a mobile into hand. This simply does not mean action, but it also means the cognition also, that you are taking mobile into hand. Because if you do not feel the mobile in your hand, if you cannot become aware of the taking mobile into an hand, then the action would be meaningless. So every action involves some witness, and every witness involves some action. And that is the main thrust of the Gita. And for this reason, Gita talks in a manner. For instance, as I said, active and the witness consciousness. So I may extend it to the listener and the talker witness. So every talker witness is listening also. If he cannot listen, he cannot talk properly. And any listener, if he cannot talk, if not extrovertly, at least introvertly, the talk is going on when you are listening. You might be talking, when you are listening me, you might be talking with yourself. How far me, Shyam Goswami, is right or wrong? Some may find right, some may find wrong, some may find doubtful. So this talk is constantly going on even when we are listening, or when we are talking, we are listening something. Without listening, we cannot talk. So there is a hidden talker in the listener, and there is a hidden listener in the talker. Everywhere, this is a common principle which Mahaprabhuji emphasized to a great extent in all the contexts and the situations. In the situation of bhakti, in the situation of the... And perhaps, if we little more extended this concept, there was an American criminal whose name was Chessman. And he has written a very nice book, The Killed Was Killer. The Killed Was Killer. So in every killer, there is a killed person. And every killed person, there is a killer person also hidden. We cannot deny it. If you read that Carol Chessman, you will find the justification of this stand, what Mahaprabhuji has said 500 years back. So there is a Prakata Pumbhav and Prakata Stri Bhav, and Gudha Pumbhav and Gudha Stri Bhav. Good talker and the Prakat talker. Hidden talker and the overt talker. And the hidden listener and the overt listener. On that ground, Krishna says to Arjuna that you are within me and I am within you. And don't be under wrong impression that you are only within me and I am only within you. Everything is within me and I am in everything. So when everything is within me and if I am in everything, that makes a lot of difference. The real assessment of the divinehood. And that's the main thrust of the Gita. That you may find from first to the last canto of the Gita. In nutshell, I would describe the significance of Gita in this manner. Now coming to the Sankhya and Yoga, the second chapter of the Gita. Arjuna Vishad Yoga. First chapter is the Arjuna Vishad Yoga. Normally, we have a wrong impression that somebody is in Vishad, he is not in the mood of the listening. When child is just adamantly crying, a child would not listen the parent's guideline. When student is adamantly asking question, many times I have seen the student do not listen what the teacher is teaching because they become so addictive to raise question. This is a normal case, apparent case. But never forget that even when you are adamantly asking some question, inconsistently asking a question, even at that time, somebody is talking within you. And the person who is listening you is not simply listening, he is also talking within himself. So Vishad takes the Arjuna to the Avishadi Krishna. And Krishna says, I take your recourse. I seek your succor. Please guide me what to do, what not to do. I am in dilemma. Now, what that dilemma is? The dilemma is of the nature and the sense of duty, commitment to the duty. Normally, people are of opinion that the battle was between the Kaurav and Pandav. That's a superficial symptom. Battle is not between Kaurav and Pandav. The real battle is between the nature and the self-awareness. Nature vis-a-vis self-awareness. Nature is all surrounding objective environment in which one acts as a knower, doer, and receiver. But the self-awareness can never be self-awareness bereft of the environment. An individual is not an individual when he is out of society. An individual is individual in society only. Though we may not be aware of this, our situation, because many times our individuality is so much heightened that we forget our social character. But be absolutely clear in your mind that in every individual there is an hidden society. And all the societies have a hidden individuals. Without individual, there cannot be society. Society is a conglomeration of the individual. So, when we say that Arjuna was in dilemma, so the main dilemma was not of the Kaurav and Pandav, but of the Swabhav, nature, and the self-awareness. What is nature? Nature is unlearned process of our life. We do not have to learn how to take breath, how to see, how to listen, how to talk, how to walk, how to sleep, how to be awakened. That is unlearned, our drive. And then there are some drives within us that we have to learn. For instance, there is an appetite and there is an hunger. Hunger is an unlearned drive. And appetite is always a learned drive. That you will not eat dhokla, or you will not, if you are South Indian, you will not eat the chapati, but you will eat idli only, dosa only. If you are North Indian, you will not eat chapati or bread, but chapati only. Or if you are European, you will not eat puris, but you would like to eat the bread. These are all learned behavior, not unlearned behavior. They do not come by default, but we learn it in the society where family or society in which we live. That makes the conflict in every consciousness. When you are angry, you want to abuse the person upon whom you are angry. And society says, yes, you can abuse, but you should use such words which are not unsocial. If you use the unsocial words, then you are at fault. Now, where that inhibition comes and why this conflict happens between the nature and the learned behavior. So, Swabhav and Swadharma are in conflict with each other. There is a Swabhav of Arjuna who drags him to the battlefield, and there is a learned understanding of the Arjuna that I should not kill my elderly person. I may not survive if all these my relatives are died. These are all learned behavior. Now, how Krishna manages it. So the role is transferred. Normally, it is said that Jivatma is a doer and Paramatma is a witness consciousness. Here, Bhagavan Krishna reveals himself within himself. You are under wrong impression, my friend. You have to be witness, and you have to allow me to act as I am doer, the doer supreme. And if you think that you are doer, then it is your narrow perspective. That is a thread line which starts from the first chapter of the Gita to the last chapter of the Gita. And for this, Krishna takes the Sankhya, Yoga, Bhakti, Sannyas, Vairagya, different methods of the self-upliftment. These were all self-upliftment's method. And he wants to convey or convince the Arjuna that you take any method, adopt any method, but this thread line must not be broken. This is Gita. Do you have any question pertaining to this, my explanation, introductory explanation?
Please unmute and ask question.
Yes, JJ, I have a question. So
Yeah.
at that
Do you follow me? Did you
Yes.
follow me?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm so
Yes.
glad.
You said that the war wasn't between Pandavas and Kauravas, but it was the nature versus and the self-realization. So in the war, we had two different sides. We had one that was doing a dharma and one against dharma. So how does that connect to nature and self-realization?
Now, as I told you, Swabhav brought Arjuna to the battlefield because he wanted to take revenge for the injustice they have suffered from the side of the Kauravas. And then after looking at all those candidates with whom he had to fight, so suddenly there was idea pop up in his mind that as per my self-awareness, it doesn't look like my duty to kill all those kith and kins just for the sake of some meaningless gain, say kingdom. So that's how conflict occurred in the mind of the Arjuna.
Okay. Thank
Am
you.
I
That
clear?
yes, yes.
Any more clarity?
Jaja, I have a question. So, like throughout like the first adhyay, we see that Arjun calls Shri Krishna as like Janardhan or Madhav. So like these are all the names for Shri Krishna. So did he have like this this understanding that this is Shri Krishna before me, or was he like unaware of that? But like because he is calling Shri Krishna these names, like Janardhan means like the remover of avidya. So like these names show that he does have some kind of understanding of who Shri Krishna is. So like what brought him to have all these doubts when Shri Krishna was standing right before him?
Can you sing any song? Say the poetry that you have learnt in your school. Can you?
Yeah.
Sing for me.
I don't have anything at the top of my mind.
No, any song will do. That will be Bollywood song or hippie song or jazz song or any song or kirtan.
Can I say the Manglacharan?
Acha, but don't recite Manglacharan. Sing Manglacharan.
Chinta Santana
No,
Hantaro.
this is your reciting. I want you to sing.
I don't know how to do that.
Are Baba, sing any notation.
I don't know.
Is there any companion beside you who can sing?
My dad.
Acha, ask him to guide you in for singing some song. Say poetry of kindergarten.
Happy birthday to you.
All right. Yes, fine. Sing.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to someone. Happy birthday to you.
To you. Now you know the notes, all the notes correctly. Do you know which note you have used? By understanding wise? No. By your voice, you can produce the song note. Happy birthday to you. But which note you are using? You don't know. So when you are using name, we know the notes, but we don't know which notes. Am I clear?
So, JJ, are you saying basically he was saying the names, but he didn't know the...
Now, for instance, let me tell you, let me clarify. You might be knowing somebody in that part of the world as Robert or Bob or Julie or Joanna. Do you know the meaning? So when you use the name, you know who is named by this name, for whom you should use this name. But that does not necessarily mean that you know the meaning. Let me tell you a history. I am not 100% sure about it, but an American has told me that normally the names which nowadays in usage is in English, like Anderson or Peterson or Goldston, all those sons were bastard previously because they were not the son of their own father, but they were son of Peter, so Peterson. And in that way, the name came into currency. Now everybody use it. Johnson. So it was an abusement originally, not the name. Because he was not the son of his father, but he was son of John. So there was Johnson. Now, in spite of staying there, growing there in USA, perhaps you are not aware of this phenomena. Such thing happens. So many times we uses the name Madhav, Keshav, and we know what Madhav means, what Keshav means. But we are not sure why it happens so, why he's called so. That we are not sure. Perhaps the best example would be God. Do you know what God is? God means, or you don't know? You know what God means. Why God is called God, if I may ask? People give funny and extravagant explanation. G means the generator, O means operator, D means literal. There's a foolish explanation of God. Utter foolish explanation. In English word, God does not mean this. God word is a not short term of the generator, operator, and destroyer. Originally, from the point of linguistic point of view, God is a Sanskrit word for Hutam. That Hutam becomes Gutam, and Gutam becomes Goth, and Goth becomes in German. In English, it becomes God. So Hutam means for whom we give our offering. For whom we give our offering. So that's the meaning of God. You may use the term. For us, Krishna is God. For Christian, Christ may be God. For Mohammedan, Allah may be God. Can't you explain this? Without knowing, it's like a currency. You are never sure who has introduced this currency. Let me give you a funny example. In the 300 years back, there was a Persian invader in India, Nadir Shah. He came, he looted India terribly. But he stayed here for looting at least 6 months. So to have a day-to-day requirement fulfilled, he introduced his own coins. So Nadir Shah coins I have in my collection. He went back to Persia. But after the 200 years of Nadir Shah going back to Persia, the coins were in usage. Such thing happens. And words are like this. Once they are coined, they may went on being used by people. They fully know the meaning, value of the denominational value of the currency, but without knowing who issued it, why issued it, when issued it. Such thing happens with all the Janardhan, Madhav and all. And for that reason, commentators always interpret the meaning also, which might have been said in the same mood of using coin. Am I clear?
Yeah, so then would those interpretations not necessarily reflect what Arjun, like, was that not intentional then by like the different names Arjun used at different times for Krishna? Would that be not intentional until he knows who Krishna is? Does that make sense?
I have seen a movie made by Satyajit Ray. It's a very beautiful movie. Where there is a person who is a smuggler, but he pretends to be a very gentleman. And once he is caught, the person who caught him says, "Shabas, Indian," because he was proud of being Indian. Now, that Indian does not mean the Indian, but that's an abusive Indian term. Shabash, Indian. Because you proclaim to be Indian and you are smuggling in India. So Shabash means bravo. Bravo Indian. Now this bravo also doesn't mean bravo. It's a sarcastic remark. So Indian as well as bravo, both are the sarcastic term used by the character. Shabash, Indian. So meaning can acquire so many, a word term can acquire so many meanings at a time when they come into currency of the use. Not necessarily. But when a speaker is uttering some word, if we are conscious listener, then we should get into the inquiry of the meaning also of the term. Therefore, different commentators interpret Madhav, Rishikesh, Gudakesh, and so forth name. That what it could hide and what it could reveal as a meaning. Am I clear?
Yes, I think that makes sense. I think the only question I was asking is if, because we were saying earlier that Arjun doesn't fully at this point in the Gita, Arjun doesn't fully understand the meaning of the words he's like the names he's using for Krishna, right? Did I understand that correctly? Is that what you were saying? Like with the kind of the song example where we were singing, but we didn't know the notes. Like we call people names, but we
What's your name?
Paranshu.
Paranshu. Are you sure of its meaning?
I think so.
Please tell me, explain.
I've been told that it means ray of the Supreme.
What?
Ray of the Supreme or of Bhagwan, of Paramatma.
Anshu and Pada Anshu.
Anshu means rays.
Mm-hmm.
Par means supreme rays.
Mm-hmm.
Now, listen. Do you consider yourself supreme rays?
No.
Or even rays? Forget about the supreme.
Mm-hmm.
Still, it is your name.
Mm-hmm.
You know by this Paranshu name yourself. And I would also know you by this name, Paranshu.
Mm-hmm.
But in some context, if I want to praise you, if I feel that you have understood my point, I would rather say, oh, you are the real Paranshu. At that time, I did not mean you as a person, but I mean Paranshu means the supreme race.
Name, yeah, that makes sense.
That reveals the knowledge.
That makes sense.
Such is the case with all the names.
Yes, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Every fruit has a skin. And within the skin, every fruit is an eatable stuff. But we know the fruit by skin, not by the eatable stuff. So we know the person by word, not by the person. I know you now as a Paranshu. That's your skin. Am I clear? Next.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah. So now turn by turn, please ask your questions that you have already raised all questions in a document.
Okay,
So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
ये समझ में आई ना बात नाम की?
हाँ
हर नाम जो है वो हर एक के लिए वापरे जाए, वो निश्चितया वापरे जाए।
हाँ
तो बाकी जो डिटेल है संस्कृत में या के लिए एक शब्द है नाम शब्द और शब्द को प्रवृत्ति निमित्त। आपको प्रवृत्ति निमित्त क्या है? Why this term came into usage and what the meaning means, the current meaning it acquired. Just God का मतलब foolishly some creator or some ruler ऐसा हो गया, divine ruler or divine creator. Actually प्रवृत्ति निमित्त वो नहीं है, प्रवृत्ति निमित्त है to whom we offer. Bhutam, 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 Goth and God. Etymologically. ऐसे सारे शब्द चले हैं. हाँ.
Actually, जिसको question, whoever raised the questions in live, maybe they can ask JJ directly.
They'll ask you.
हाँ. So JJ doesn't have to read it.
मेरे को यहाँ लिखे हुए हैं तो मैं पढ़ सकूंगा.
Okay, ठीक है.
No problem. Even the both Dhritarashtra and Sanjay overheard conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. What was their perspective or understanding about Krishna was saying? Where were they unable to do so because they were not bhakta? What about when Krishna reveals his Virat Swarup? Did they understand Krishna as the Supreme Lord? Let me give you my example. I don't believe in astrology, fortunately or unfortunately. But there was a professor in university who was much famous for his astrological prediction. So we were sitting together. And then naturally the discussion started about the astrology. So it suddenly came from my mouth that I don't have much faith or liking for the astrology. And he challenged me that I can prove by 100% accurate prediction. And what is their astrologically your life chart? And he was a professor of chemistry, let me tell you. Guide to the many scholars. And I told him even if you predict 100% accurate, I would consider that as my foolishness, but I am not ready to admit the truth of astrology. Then he said, I am helpless. It's all right. So even if Bhagwan has revealed Virat Swarup, there could have been some like Sam Goswami who would say that even if you have revealed Virat, I consider this as my folly, not your greatness, that you look like Virat. And this not only happened when Krishna revealed his Virat to Yashodaji. Yashodaji was never ready to admit that it was a greatness of Krishna, but he considered it as a bhoot badha. And he asked the Pandit to make some treatment of Krishna so that such bhoot, the demons, will no more appear in mouth of Krishna. So ultimately, simply by revealing truth is not necessitates that one must admit. If we have a temperament of not admitting, even revealed truth, it becomes as useless as unrevealed truth. So some temperament is required to accept the truth. It is not simply the truth which works. There is a coordination between temperament and the truth. Am I clear? So Dhritarashtra was not in the temperament, because in one of the stanza it is said, Moolam Raja Dhritarashtra Manishi, Moolam Krishna Brahmacha Brahmanascha. The main cause of the fight between the Kauravas and Pandavas were not Kaurav Pandavas, they were merely pawns. But the chess player was Dhritarashtra and Dhrita Brahmanda Krishna. One was proud of holding the Rashtra, who is a blind force. One who was holder of the universe was not blind force, the conscious force. And they were fighting with each other. All others are merely pawns for their fight. Moolam Raja Dhritarashtra Manishi, Moolam Krishna. So the original fight was between Dhritarashtra and Dhrita Brahmanda Krishna. And we know this very well, that even when the Hiranyakashipu, broke the pillar and Nrsimha came, he jumped to kill him. He wasn't afraid. Otherwise, if we break a pillar and something appears all of a sudden with such horrible feature, half lion and half man, we will not have a courage to fight with such phenomena. But Hiranyakashipu has a spirit to fight. So he jumped like a great warrior to fight with Nrsimha. So the revelation of truth is not sufficient. Temperament is also required. Hiranyakashipu was in the temperament of fighting. So truth will not suffice to him. And Krishna's Virat Rup will not suffice to Dhritarashtra. Krishna's Virat is sufficed to the Arjuna because he was in temperament to listen. Because he asked Krishna, may I see that truth? And Krishna said, yes, it is possible for you, but you cannot see with your own eye. I have to give you divine eye to see that Virat. So the temperament is required. Did Arjuna know before Bhagavan revealed Virat Swarup? Yes, yes, very well. What Arjuna says, please listen. Before Virat, Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. You are Supreme Brahman. You are the Supreme Abode. You are the most pious. Purusham Shashwatam. You are eternal person. Divyam, divine. Adidev, Ajam, unborn. Vibhu, omnipresent. Austvam Rishayas Sarve Devarshi Naradas Tata. On this point, all the rishis, contemporary rishis, are in agreement unanimously. And even Devarshi Narad says so. Asito Devalo Vyasa. Asit, Deval and Vyas. These are all Vedic rishis. They also proclaim you to be the such. Swayanchaiva Bravishime. Even you yourself boasting that you are Parabrahman. Sarvam etadritam manye. I believe this is a truth. But I want to see this. Do I believe, but I want to see this. I want to visualize this. I want to realize this. So would you show me that? And then Krishna showed Virat. But Arjuna did know before the Virat darshan whom he was asking. Why did Krishna ask Arjuna to perform worship and puja before the war started to the other devatas and devis? For your information, Krishna always used to worship Shiva in his house. Because that's the beauty of our incarnation. Even Ram worshipped the Rameshwar, Shiva. Krishna worships Shiva. And if you go to Kailash, you will find Shiva worship Krishna. So that's a perhaps not the criminal sense, but in the sweet sense, a notorious mischief of the parents. No father can tell his children that follow me. Mother can only say, follow your father. No mother can say to her children, follow me. Father can only guide the children, follow your mother. So that's a mischievous, notorious agreement between them to control and manage the children. So Krishna worships Shiva and Shiva worships Krishna. Control these children. So no problem. So if he may ask Arjuna to worship other deities, one should not be afraid of why he asks. Because that is how the world goes. Well, I can never tell you that worship me. I require someone to tell you the worship Shambhava. That's why Goswamis keep samadhanis. Nowadays, not is in practice, but 50 or 60 years back, no Goswami would go anywhere without samadhani. Because samadhani would only tell you that what you have to do with Goswami. And Goswami would remain quiet, smiling face. That's how the world goes. અર્જુનને ગુડાકેશ નિદ્રા ઇન્દ્રિયોને વિજેતા નામ કેમ આપવામાં આવ્યું? તેની પાછળની વાર્તા શું છે? I am not 100% sure. I will have to check and tell you. I know Lakshmanji would not sleep, but I am not pretty sure why Arjun was called Gudakesh. I will have to check and tell you. શ્લોક 3 અર્જુન કહે છે પોતાના સગા ભાઈને મારવા માંગતો નથી કારણ કે માઇન્સાત સર્વભૂતાની કોઈ પણ જીવને મારશો નહીં. જો કે શ્રી કૃષ્ણ અર્જુનને લડવા માટે પ્રોત્સાહિત કરે છે, કારણ કે તેનો ધર્મ છે. જો આપણે એવી પરિસ્થિતિનો સામનો કરવો પડે કે જ્યાં આપણે ચોક્કસપણે સમજી શકતા નથી કે કયો ધર્મ અને કયો અધર્મ તરફ લઈ જશે, તો આપણે નિર્ણય કેવી રીતે કરવું, ખાસ કરીને કારણ કે આ શ્રી કૃષ્ણનો અવતારકાળ છે નહીં, અવતારકાળ નથી.
હા, જે આનું ટ્રાન્સલેશન કર્યું છે, ઇંગ્લિશમાં ક્વેશ્ચન છે, ખાલી એક ટ્રાન્સલેટ માટે રાખ્યું છે.
સેન્સ
અનવતાર કાલ એનું ગૂગલ ટ્રાન્સલેટ એ કદાચ કર્યું હશે. અનવતાર કાલ જ છે, એટલે અનવતાર કાળમાં કૃષ્ણના અનવતાર કાળમાં ધર્મ અધર્મ
અનવતાર
કેવી
કાલ્યા, હા. Perhaps all over in the world and in every institution where there is no teacher, there are monitor. Where there is doctor is not available, sisters are available, residents, junior doctors are available. So it is always said in the scripture that in absence of the incarnation of God, we can seek the guideline from our gurus. Because Acharya Chaitya Vapusha Sagatim Venakti. So, in absence of gurus also, Mahaprabhuji has come forward and tell, read the scripture yourself. And that was the main reason of the conflict between Protestant and Catholic. Because when Catholics started misusing their power of teacherhood, Protestant in Germany, they protested that we will not rely on you, we will rely on the Bible itself for seeking our guideline. Because when you give guideline, you are giving polluted guideline, which benefits you, not benefit to the Christ. And we want to be faithful to Christ. So what Christ has said in the Bible, because originally Bible was in Latin, in Catholic section of the Christian. So they translated Bible. And at that time, much dispute happened that the translated Bible can be treated as Bible or not. And there was a much fight and much disagreement and much debate. But then ultimately it was revealed that original Bible was neither in Latin nor in the vernacular language of Europe, but it was in Assyrian language, which nobody knew, even Pope did not know. See the fiasco of the such. And that's why Vaman, there is a commentator of Gita, Vaman. He beautifully expresses this. He says that संस्कृत वाणी देवे केली तर प्राकृत काय चोरापासून झाली असा तू वृथा बोलीस काय काज आता संस्कृतात किंवा प्राकृतात ज्या भाषा झाली हरिकथा तोच तत्वता मानली. And therefore, in the first time, our sect, Pushti Marg, introduced the mantra in place of mantra, the kirtanas, which were sung in Vrij Bhasha. Otherwise, please be clear, that to perform a puja without mantra is null and void. It does not, because according to Shastras, God is mantratmak. So the puja or archana of God should also be mantratmak only. So when you do not use mantra, God ceases to be God, it becomes statue. And puja ceases to be puja, it becomes only throwing of some flower or stuff or this or that. That was the original Maryada concept. Pushtimark said, no. Our God is not mantratmak, our God is bhavatmak. Our Krishna is sentimental. I have a sentiment for Krishna, so my Krishna is a sentimental. So there are two types of relation. One social relation and one sentimental relation. Like that father, mother, brother, sister, these are all social relations. Whether you have sentiment or you do not have, they are father, they are mother, they are sister, they are brother. But the relation of the friend is not a social relation, it's a sentimental relation. And since it was said in Vedas, Samanasina Atma Jananam, the worshipable God is not the objective God, but the God which resides in your mind. Samanasina Atma Jananam. And on that ground, Mahaprabhu says that our God is sentimental God. So if we have a sentiment of worship, we do not bother about the mantras because our God is not mantratmak.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
So you were saying that like the relationship that we have with God is like a sentimental relationship, which is like similar to a friend, but a lot
Please
of the
speak
times
slowly. I am not accustomed to American accent.
you said that the relationship we have with God is sentimental, that our Pokemon is sentimental. But a lot of the times people say that when you think of your relationship with Pokemon, like sometimes people think of it as like a sibling or as a son or like a mother or father. And then there's also the idea of the relationship being a friend. But if our God is sentimental and the relationship we have with like our family is social, then why is it also?
Well, I think it's the relationship you have with your family can be social and sentimental. But on the name face, the relationship you have
Listen. Anything or any person with which you have a sentimental relation, it's not that it ceases to be objective then. It has its own objectivity. And because it has an objectivity, it does not mean that it is strictly confined to the objectivity only. You can interact with sentimental also. So it has a both. In every it is like a Tao, yin yang. In every objectivity, there is a sentiment, and in every sentiment, there is an objectivity hidden. Understood?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad you are asking so many questions. Now, next question is,
Number six.
Number 6.
Number 6.
Going off the previous question, if when Krishna comes down to earth again, perhaps in the form of Kalki, and he asked devotee to do something or gave some advice, that goes against the Vedas or laws, and we have as a truth, does his word trump all? There is a proverb in English: respect cannot be demanded, respect is to be commanded. So if there is a God, and if there is an incarnation of God, he will not demand, he will command. And if I am demanding, that's a sufficient proof that I am making a mockery of God. You know, when terribly Napoleon was busy on the battlefield and continuously fighting throughout his life. So one of the soldiers, from few groups of the soldiers, decided to murder the Napoleon. And suddenly they went on the battlefield while Napoleon was sleeping without any arm, without any weapon with him, beside him. So when they went to kill him, suddenly Napoleon got up and said, "Why you come so to my camp? Get out." He was without weapon. And all the soldiers came to shoot him with the weapon. But he had such a commanding power over the soldier. Soldiers went. They could not kill. Even commanders sometimes have such commanding force. If God comes, he doesn't demand. So question does not arise that whether he will follow Ved or does not follow Ved, because Ved is also his commandment. And there is a very beautiful book in Judaism where the scholar, Judaic scholar says that God gives us commandment and we are commanded by it. God does not subjugate it by it because he is commander. He never undergoes the subjugation of his own commandment. So Vedas are the rules for us as commandment given by Brahman. But God himself does not subjugate it to it. So he can all the time break it or follow it. He is sweet with.
So isn't that what the Gita is about? That Arjun is doubting his morals and he's asking Krishna if it's okay to go against his morals. And Krishna is saying that yes, if it's for dharma, you can go against your morals.
Suppose Krishna is incarnated reveals himself before you immediately now, and he commands you to do something such which you do not like. What would be your take? Would you follow Krishna or not?
I would be skeptical at first, yeah.
And that's what Krishna says. Vimarshaita dashashena yatechasi tata karo. I give you liberty. I have taught you. Now you think yourself. If you are convinced, act as I guide you. If you are not convinced, do not act as I guide you. Same will be done by you also. If you are convinced, you will be guided by, you will control your action. Many times doctor says, teacher says something, you have to do this, you have to do that. If we are convinced and if we are convenient, we follow it. If we are not convenient, there is a proverb in Hindi, क्षमा बड़ेन को चाहिए छोटेन को उत्पात. It is always the virtue of the elderly people to pardon. And it is always the guts of the younger people to go against their commandment. But you require guts for it. Everybody can't do that. Whom you are asking, referring? Are you referring something?
No, I was just discussing with my dad. So then that would mean that Arjun did not fully know his true form, because if he knew that Krishna was
Because Arjun was devotee.
Okay.
Devotee, so he took the commandment to his heart. But if Arjun would not have been devotee, he would never take.
I understand.
So the whole Gita then is kind of that, an example of like just how Haley said she would first be skeptical, like how we would all be first skeptical if Krishna came down and told us to do something that we didn't initially agree with. And then the whole Gita is then Krishna
So
explaining, and then
to
Arjuna.
follow commandment, it's not a one-way traffic, it's a two-way traffic. The commander and the commanded person. Many times, army revolts against the commander. With such a great training and the discipline, of course. Army revolts against. The lions and tigers and all those creatures, many times they revolt against the ringmaster and eat the ringmaster without taking their instruction. So it's a momentary sentiment where you decide whether to follow or obey or disobey the commandment. If simply by issuing commandment, somebody would follow, then there would be no real sin at all. Because every religion has given some commandments. Do not kill commandment was taken. Do not kill among yourself, kill others. That's how people take. So it's up to the person how he takes the commandment. That's why Mahaprabhuji says that there are three states of mind: sattvic mind, rajas mind, and tamas mind. If there is a sattvic mind, it takes the commandment to its true sense. Rajas mind takes it skeptically. And tamas mind listens the command and don't bother about it. As I told my friend professor, who said that I can give you 100% accurate prediction, and I was in absolutely tamas mood. So I said, I would consider that my folly, not the truth of the astrology, because I am very adamant about this, my judgment, that astrology is a false. So even if someone gives the 100% accurate prediction, I am not ready to admit it as a. First of all, because I do not believe in the destiny. predictable destiny. Though I believe in destiny, but predictable destiny, I don't believe. So I don't feel any requirement to be guided or misguided by astrology. That's my temperament. Yes. There was my cousin. We used to play chess. And many times it so happened, I would have given him checkmate. And I said loudly, "Oh, checkmate too." He said, "I don't agree." Get lost. Arey Baba, I have given you checkmate. He would say, "No, I don't agree with you." How to convince? I cannot thrash him because we were brothers. So if he was defeated, he would say, I don't agree with you. How will you make me convince that I am defeated? I said, no, there's no way. I can only show you the checkmate on the chessboard. But he would say, no, I don't agree with you. All right. Such thing happens.
Jay, I also had a question.
Yes. Let me deal at seventh one.
Yeah, after that.
Since Arjun refers to Shri Krishna as a Janardhan, I think I have dealt with this. Janardhan.
Yes, I think you already answered this question earlier.
Yes, that I have dealt already. Then eighth question is, Arjun mentions the concept of Varnashram, saying if he fights the battle against the Kauravas, their dynasty will collapse and they will fall into irreligious, sinful habits. Why does he tell Krishna this when he's already aware they are in the wrong and adharm side? First of all, the beauty of Mahabharata. It's a unique epic in the world. Because all the characters of the Mahabharata are not idealistic, they are realistic. Really? Means if there is a criminal, he's not ideally criminal. If there is a virtuous person, he's not ideally virtuous person. He's a realistic person. So some hodgepodge of the virtue and some hodgepodge of the crime. As Yudhishthir was Dharmaraj, and he was very fond of all such activities which were not supposed to be done by the ruler. Arjun was very valor fighter, but he became shaky when he has to face the. So like that, all the person. Bhishma was a great devotee of Krishna. Because when somebody inquired with the Krishna, what is your reality? And Krishna said, I don't know. Please ask Bhishma. And even Pandava did not know the reality of Krishna, which Bhishma knew. And he was fighting with Krishna. So all the characters of the Mahabharata are not idealistic. They are realistic. Means both have plus and minus side, black and white side. So I don't think that this question has any ground to be answered. Because even Arjuna is afraid. And please consider this point, that when he has killed all the Kauravas, they are not going to be the criminal. The public is going to be criminal in absence of the ruler. This is what Arjuna tries to convey. And Krishna is also trying to convince Arjuna by saying, Hato va prapsyase sargam jitva va bhokshase maim. If you die in battlefield, you will go directly to heaven. If you lose the battle, then you will get infamum, bad fame. Or if you win, you will be the ruler of the whole area. So these are all practical reasons with their plus and minus. You cannot make a watertight compartment of black and white. That crime is crime and virtue is virtue. Sin is sin and virtue is virtue. Every person, there is some hodgepodge of sin and virtue both. Actually, in every person, there are germs and virus and the bacteria and health also. Sometimes bacteria, virus grows more, then we become ill. Sometimes health becomes strong, then bacteria become dominated by our health. They become silent. Such is the case. Right or wrong? Any more question?
Actually, JJ, I have put it down 3 more questions after giving. Manish bhai, you have it?
Yeah, and I also had a question, JJ.
Shall we
Go ahead,
stop here?
Pankaj.
Deal with this question, other question afterwards sometime.
Sure, sure. Pankaj, you want to ask the last question?
I mean, if there's time, but
Just
it's
last
okay.
question, yeah. And then we'll stop, yeah. It
Oh,
is in
okay.
context with that, right? Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you to all.
Okay, okay, JJ. हाँ JJ, धन्यवाद pranam.
Making so much inquiry into the true meaning of the Gita and purport of the Gita.
JJ, thank you for coming to giving.
I really enjoy having this conversation with you.
हाँ JJ, धन्यवाद pranam from everybody.
Asha.
Asha. Ciao.
Dandavat pranam, Jai.
Dandavat pranam.
Dhanavad Ram, JJ, Jai Shri Krishna.
Pranam, Jai.
Okay.